Okay, let's load the wrap diagonal color shader and see what we can edit. As you can see, with a background color over here, which lets us set the color of the background. Then you have the stripe color over here, which lets you set the color of this diagonal stripe. So you choose whatever color you want. Then there's the size setting over here. What that does controls the overall size of the pattern. So make the pattern bigger or smaller. Then you have the width setting. What that does controls the width of the stripes in respect of the back color. So you make them wider. Basically make it cover all the way, or you can make them pretty thin. So do whatever you want. Then there's the fuzz setting. That controls the blending between the stripes and the background color. So by increasing it, you make them fade in more. By decreasing it, you make them stand out better. So let's apply it to our objects to see what that looks like. As you can see, it's distorted on a rounded cube, which lets us know that this is a 2D procedural shader that's wrapped across the object's UV space. So if your UV space is not set up regularly, then it will be distorted. If it's set up regular, like the flat plane underneath the rounded cube, then you see it's nice and regular. But otherwise, it's distorted. Okay, let's look at the wrapped grid color shader. As you can see, we have two colors we can choose from, the grid color and the back color. You set this to whatever color you want for the color of the grid lines, and the back color is for setting the color of the background. Set to whatever color you want. And there's the scale setting over here. It controls the overall size of the pattern. So by increasing it, make the pattern look bigger. By decreasing it, make it smaller. So you leave it somewhere in between. Then there's the width setting. What that does is it controls the width of the squares. So by increasing it, make the squares wider. Decreasing it, make the squares thinner. Likewise for the height setting, it controls the height of the squares. By increasing it, make the squares taller. By decreasing it, make the squares shorter. And there's the grid size setting over here, and what that does, it affects the width of the grid lines over there. So you increase that or decrease that. Then just the fuzz setting, that controls the blending between the grid lines and the background color. So by increasing it, you make the grid lines fuzz into the background more. By decreasing it, make it stand out better. So let's apply it to our object and see what that looks like. One thing to remember is that you can see that this is a 2D procedural shader that's wrapped across the object's UV space. So as you can see on the flat plane, it's nice and regular. But on a rounded cube over here, it's distorted because the UV space is distorted. So when you're using this shader, make sure to remember that and to take that into account when applying the UV mapping to your object. Okay, let's look at the wrapped U stripe shader. And let's see what parameters we have. Just the background color and the stripe color. The background color sets the color of the background, so you set it whatever color you want. Then the stripe color allows you to set the color of the stripes. So let's choose the next color for that. Then there's the size setting, and what that does is it controls the overall size of the pattern. So increase or decrease that. Then the width setting affects the width of the stripes, so make the stripes wider or thinner. Then the fuzz setting over here controls how much blending goes on between the stripes and the background colors. By increasing it, you make there more of a blend. By decreasing it, you decrease the amount of blending. So let's apply to our objects to see what that looks like. As you can see, this is a 2D procedural shader that's wrapped across the UV space, and it's aligned along the U direction with its stripes. So as you can see on our flat plane over there, it's nicely aligned along the U direction in our UV space, and along our rounded cube over here, it's distorted because the UV space is distorted. So make sure to remember that when you're modeling your objects and texturing them. Okay, let's look at the wrapped V stripe and see what parameters we have. There's the background color, which lets us set the color of the background. Then there's the stripe color, which lets us set the color of the stripes. And then the size setting over here lets us control the overall size of the pattern. So you increase it to make the overall size bigger, and decrease it to make it smaller. Then there's the width setting over here, which controls the width of the stripes in relation to the back color. So you make it wider, and you make the stripes thinner. Then the fuzz setting controls how much blending goes on between the stripes and the background. So by increasing it, you make them blend in more. By decreasing it, make them blend in less. So apply it to our objects to see what it looks like. Let's do a render. As you can see, this is a 2D procedural shader that wraps across the object's UV space, and it specifically lines up the stripes along the vertical V direction. So on the flat plane, you see it's nicely lined up along the V direction, and around the cube over here, you can see that it's kind of distorted because our UV space is distorted for the object. So make sure to remember that when you're modeling and texturing your objects.